Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om. Hello and welcome to the 132nd session by Ataha Madhvacharya for the Youth YouTube live session. As always, I'm so excited to have all the viewers to this YouTube session. And personally, this series has been so much of learning and so much of nuggets of knowledge to carry. Jnana Yoga and Karma Yoga has added so much of flavors and has given me so much of learning in the past couple of months. I'm sure some of the topics that we have covered so far, especially the past series, our previous topic on Karma Yoga, has been a brilliant topic. I would request and personally urge all the viewers to go back and check this video if someone has actually missed it. And this series, especially knowledge is power, is another topic which would give us so much of information and clarity as to which path to choose between Karma Yoga and Jnana Yoga. And before we start, I would like to highlight the topics that we want to be covering in this topic. Right. So, what is the meaning of Jnana? Isn't it very important us to sort of highlight what is Jnana all about and why is it so important in our life? And what is the interplay between worldly and spiritual Jnana? Is Jnana is only in theory or karma is in the practical world? And which is more important between the two? And what stops us from putting knowledge into practice? Isn't it like we have been addressing all the other topics like what is Jnana and other things, and if we're not able to sort of put it into practice, it just goes for a waste. So what blocks us from putting the knowledge into practice? And finally, can anyone reach to God without Jnana? And what is the right way to achieve that Jnana? So these are some of the 5 questions that we would be covering, and finally we'll be opening for a Q&A session. And before we begin the session, I would like to invite Sunder Madakshira. So Sunder Madakshira is the CEO at Resolve, and also he's one of the he also serves at the National Digital Innovation Council of the PM, and also he's been a true student, a remarkable student of Madhya philosophy. And what better speaker than Sunder Madakshira to have in this session, who has mix of both worlds. He has mix of practical, the professional and plus the spiritual world to address some of these questions. So with this, I would like to bring Sunder to address these questions and try and make this session as engaging as possible. So let me bring Sunder with this. Hi Sunder, welcome.
Good afternoon, Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Thanks for those kind words, Santosh. And on my behalf, welcome to everyone who's attending this session, and also to people who will watch it subsequently on YouTube and other channels.
Right. Sundar, before we start, I was just talking about in my context slide, why is it, what is important, what is the true meaning of Jnana? So we're just talking about Jnana, and there's so much of question about this. What do you think is true Jnana and why is it so important for us?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a very important question for us, Santosh. And we have tried to break it out into certain bullet points on a slide. So here, the way we look at it is, Jnana is something which is, if you translate it into English, it can be translated as education or knowledge. But that's a challenge with anything when we are translating from, Sanskrit to English. It sort of sometimes does not reflect the accurate meaning the way it is intended to. So, but we'll have to live with that because this is a session that we're going to be having in English. And this is in continuum to the Bhagavad Gita series that we started with what is Karma Yoga and Jnana Yoga, which is better? If one has to choose, what should it be? And then we had a session on Karma Yoga. So this is the third one in that series, which is Jnana Yoga. And we will end it in the next session when we talk about the Bhakti Yoga. So if you look at it, before we come to what is the meaning of Jnana and why is it so central, we have to realize as human beings, we are always seekers. We always seek. We have questions in our mind. And that starts from our childhood. Right from a very young age, we have the habit of actually asking questions. So, and these questions have to be answered. And the funny part is, the more the questions are asked, the more the questions are asked, the more answers you get. And with these answers, you get more questions. So it's always that's something our mind is doing. And our spiritual works, all our scriptures, all start with a question. If you look at any Shastra or any Purana or any Grantha, it always starts with a certain set of question that you have. And if you look at the Brahma Sutras, for example, they start with the question, Om Athato Brahma Jignasa Om. So it is all about actually the mind which is seeking. Now, coming to the definition of Jnana, a definition of Jnana, as I said, is education or knowledge which uplifts us. But here, there is another definition that the Shastras give us, which is the Jnana is the difference between humans and animals. So, what is that one thing which differentiates the humans from other animals? Because human beings are also animals, is the topic of jnana. So, anything, animals don't have knowledge, human beings have knowledge. So it is not the knowledge which is vocational. For example, every living thing has vocational knowledge. What is vocational knowledge? Knowledge that is used to get one's livelihood, that even animals have. But the knowledge that is there, which is there to uplift us and take us to transcendental levels, is something which is not there as far as animals are concerned. So if there is one differentiating factor according to the scriptures, it is it is jnana which differentiates. That's why we say jnana hinasha pashuhu. So somebody who does not have jnana is equivalent to an animal. So that's the definition of jnana. Something which educates us, which gives us knowledge, and which uplifts us. Now, if you look at the power of jnana, it has got intellectual value and it's got unimaginable power. If you look at the progress of countries, of nations, of states, of communities, of companies, of individual, everything has happened because of jnana, right? So today a company becomes, sells its products to a lot more customers only when it brings up innovation. And innovation comes with creating intellectual power, the IPs that is there, which companies create, and then they are able to dominate that particular industry. Similarly, with a country gets its power because of economic power, it gets scientific power, it gets military power, it gets social power, and all that is rooted in in its progress of knowledge. So higher the knowledge that is there, the higher is the progress of that country in every sense. It started with the domination of India as a country, the Bharat that was there, and then it passed on to China for many centuries, and then it moved on to Europe, and then to what we see happening in America, which is one of the most successful economies, predominantly because they have this knowledge. So knowledge has got a lot of power, which is absolutely fantastic and something that can give immense power. But it's important to know knowledge again is a two-way sword. It can go any way. So the importance of jnana is in the fact that it is of two types. One is knowledge can be spiritual and it is worldly. So, worldly knowledge is all the vocational knowledge that is there, all that we learn and we get as education, our schools and colleges and universities. That's worldly knowledge that helps us to deal with the world. It helps us to get a job and earn our livelihood. It can help us, further our research interests and so on. But spiritual knowledge, that is the true meaning of jnana, because that's the only thing which can uplift you. So the Bhagavad Gita says, Nahi jnanena sadrisham pavitram. If you look at the Gita, it's a very rare usage where Krishna puts all his eggs in one basket, as they say, which is there is nothing as pure and sublime as knowledge, because only knowledge can uplift people, right? And we don't have to go very far to see what is the power of jnana and why is it so important. Only Jnana can transform our lives, right? And which is what can you, where can you find a better example of this transformation that has happened in an individual in 20 minutes flat, which is in Bhagavad Gita itself. Arjuna, who is a reluctant warrior, is in the depth of depression and depth of anxiety. From there, in 20 minutes, he goes on to fight one of the deadliest wars, and then he wins it. So, such a big transformation of his mindset has happened in 20 minutes, and which lasts for 18 more days and for the rest of Arjuna's life. So nahi gnane the sadrisham, there's nothing as sublime and pure as as gnana. The other thing about gnana or vidya, as we call it, is nachora haryam, nacha raja haryam, na bhratru bhadyam, nacha bharakari. It says, the thief, if you look at knowledge, it's so funny. Nobody can steal it from you because it's here, it's in somebody's brain. It cannot be seized by a king. He cannot use his power and seize it. And it can't be divided between brothers and siblings like their father's property. But the more you spend knowledge, the more you get, the knowledge multiplies. There was Bhagavad Gita, which was written, which was said by Lord Krishna. Um, then Lord Vedavyasa captured it as a part of Srimad Mahabharata. And what came after that? Thousands and thousands of commentaries were written on the Mahabharata, and then subsequently Madhvacharya wrote the Mahabharata Tatparnirnaya, and on that came several commentaries. So what has happened? Somebody created the knowledge, somebody took it all out, and yet what happened? They made a contribution to the body of knowledge. So now we have not only Mahabharata, we also have Mahabharata Tatparnirnaya. So knowledge is something which multiplies when you actually use it. So here I would like to give an example of Samira, one of our participants in our workshop. He's been attending for many years, and he has got this calling where whenever he looked at what is the power of knowledge, he is a person who has done his PhD from a very reputed institute in Europe, and then he came back to India to learn the scriptures, and now he realizes the power of knowledge because he understood. He was working in one of the best research institutes in Europe, and when he came back, he wrote to us, and he's been attending our workshops, and from then on, of course, he's taken to the studies of the scriptures very seriously. And then today he finds himself 5 years from then, as someone who has been able to successfully match both the scientific as well as the spiritual knowledge. So I think that is the power and importance of knowledge. Santosh, I took a little longer on this question because I think a lot of the other topics, are dependent on how we understand knowledge itself.
Right. Thanks, Sundar. This slide actually clarifies a lot of points. It clearly establishes why knowledge is so important, and the entire Bhagavad Gita that it stresses on this fact that knowledge is all the essential thing and the power to sort of clearing off all the jnana or the ignorance. While this is clear, the next probable questions that we think of is we basically operate in two worlds, which is the spiritual world and the professional world. So my question is like, which is more important, and is it we have to juggle between both, or which is more important? Uh,
Absolutely. I think the next slide, we put in certain topics. The Mundaka Upanishad says something and summarizes it very well, which is Dve Vidya Veditavya. So you need both levels of knowledge. You need the spiritual knowledge, you need the worldly knowledge. The worldly knowledge is for your transactional. It is transactional. In this in this birth, we are born as something, so we need to sustain ourselves, and therefore we need knowledge. We need to understand the world around us. We need to transact with the world, and we have to make our contribution to the world. So for all this, you need the vocational knowledge. That's the lower level knowledge. But at the same time, you need to know that there is a world beyond this. This world is not the end. There is a world beyond this, which is a spiritual world. And you need to understand that. You need to understand God, who is a part of that. You need to understand yourself, you are a soul, and you have to understand this world. For that, you need the spiritual knowledge. So you cannot make a choice really as to which is more important, or which is, can you do away with one and not have the other. Both are equally important. Now the spiritual knowledge is again of two types, which is you need some basic knowledge, the common knowledge or the etiquette, right? It's very common. Whenever you let us say somebody has parked a car in no parking area, the policeman comes and wants to give you a challan. What does he tell you? Why did you park it here? You seem to be an educated person, right? That's what he says. You seem to be an educated person. I don't know why you parked your car. Why? Because an educated person is supposed to behave differently. So therefore, you need that basic knowledge, you need that common knowledge, and you need that etiquette, the basics of the spiritual knowledge which are important. Beyond that, there is Brahmagnana, or the higher level of spiritual knowledge, which is being able to see God everywhere, see His omnipresence, see Him omnipotency, and so on and so forth. So, all these are also part of the spiritual knowledge. Now, the world and life around us, let us not look at it cynically and say, oh my God, there's nothing in this world. I will go away to some Himalayas and start meditating. We don't have to do that, because the wonderful, the spectacle of life and the spectacle of world around us is right in front of us. So if you look at your life and the world around us as a laboratory to experience spiritual knowledge, just imagine somebody is just learning spiritual knowledge without applying it, without checking out what are his experiences. Then it is going to be an academic knowledge. It is going to be theoretical. But imagine he starts to experience the presence of God, understands how that soul or he himself is dependent on God, and what an immense love for God that he can actually have, then it takes it into a different realm. So, therefore, the world around us, we have to live in that world, and to be able to do that, we need both types of knowledge to get that integrated view of the universe. One of our dear friends, lawyer, she's a lawyer, Amala Gupta. She's been, attending the workshop for a few years, and she wrote this question, saying, "I'm a lawyer. Sometimes I find it difficult to match what I hear in the spiritual world to the real life world, where sometimes there is so much of untruth going on. There's so much of falsehood. How do I deal with it?" I think over a period of time, attending so many sessions by so many scholars, reading books, etc., she's got a perspective about how she can manage her profession and her spiritual life without conflict. She has had to make some difficult decisions, but those seemingly difficult decisions also became easy for her. So that's the interplay between the worldly and the spiritual knowledge, Santosh.
Sundar, I must say there's a beautiful insight that you've actually given us, which is using this universe as a laboratory, and don't use and just not use the spiritual wisdom as a theory. Uh,
Yeah. That's what Srimad Madhvacharya says in the Dvadasha Stotra. He says, "Bahuchitra Jagat Bahuda Karanat Parashaktir Ananta Guna Paramaha." What a beautiful line. The world around us is Chitra Jagat, means it's so much of variety in everything. It's such a
right.
bright world, such lovely people, lovely nature, and so many things that we can all enjoy. And just this enjoyment goes to a different level when we realize that Parashakti Ananta Guna Paramaha, all that world, all that universe is controlled by one single power and that source of energy, which is Lord Narayana.
So right, I think is using this as a balance and using and balancing both worlds actually makes sense because I don't think like the era that we are in living, I don't think it would allow us to sort of be in one path. You will be basically juggling between both and make sense to successfully be in both worlds and using this knowledge. Uh, so then moving on, the next questions that we always have is we think that jnana is only at a theory level, and karma is only the practical thing. But I feel that you need karma for a better. You need karma for everything. Like even if you do a smallest karma that you actually perform, there is some jnana behind it. So how do we sort of look at these two aspects, and what is your take on this as
Absolutely. So we had seen and addressed this topic somewhat in the earlier workshops as well. So karma and gnana, as per Gita and as what we all start to experience, are are cyclical in nature, right? Both have to go hand in hand. So if you look at karma, whatever we are, what is karma here? Which is the niyata karma. That means what are our ordained duties? Ordained duties. Why? Because we are born in a certain family, we are a certain stage in our life, we have certain professional responsibilities. All that comes under the realm of niyata karma. That means ordained duties. We are supposed to do it. There is no escape from that, and not nor should one start to try to escape. If one escapes from his basic ordained duties, no amount of gnana or no amount of prayer to the God will help, because Bhagavad Gita is crystal clear on this, saying that you cannot forsake your knowledge, your karmas. Now, when you perform that karma, that leads to gnana, because over a period of time, when you start doing, it leads to atma shuddhi. That means your soul gets sort of purified, and with that, you are ready to absorb the spiritual knowledge, right? To go to a school, you need to take a bath, you need to put a certain uniform, and then you're ready for it. To go into 10th standard, you have to pass the ninth standard. To go into pre-university, you have to pass your 10th standard, and so on. So there is a certain amount of readiness that you will have to get into. And gnana reinforces purposeful karma. Earlier, somebody was performing karma a little blindly, was not sure why he's doing it, or what is the meaning of what he's doing, and so on. But now, the moment he gets that gnana, every work around him, whether he's in his office, whether he's somebody is going to a college, somebody is cooking at home, somebody is, playing with his children, whatever may be the person doing, all that becomes God's work. The day that understanding or that frame of mind comes in, whatever karma charana he is doing or whatever karma is doing is getting reinforced because of that gnana, which is telling him that whatever you're doing, it's nothing but service to God. Then other thing that gnana does is that the methodology of performing a karma gets refined, because what happens is sometimes people may be doing it blindly, sometimes people might not know the correct method. Most importantly, the person may not have the right anusandhana or the right mindset to be able to offer it as a work of God. It's not just the prayers, it's not just the meditation, it is not just offering the flowers, which is part of God's work, which is of course a God's work, but everything else that is happening around us is also God's work. Today, I am speaking. Some of you are listening and thinking, what question should I ask? As a consequence, you're trying to digest it and say, apply it to a real life and say, oh, how does it work? Tomorrow morning, I have to go to office. I have to think about Jnana, Karma. How will I match the two, and so on. Whatever people are doing now, that is also nothing but God's work. So the boundaries that we have put all around us, this is God's work, that is not God's work, will just start to disappear once somebody gets the right gnana, right? So somebody is performing a puja, he's a doctor. Suddenly he gets a call that there is some emergency case. He just drops everything, and without thinking, he just goes to attend to the patient. That is also that, because at that time the niyata karma is that he has to take care of the patient. He can always come back and resume the puja whenever he is back, but that moment when he has to say will not come back again. So his definition of what is priority changes, right? So morning there is a Sandhya Vandanam, that is Karma Charane. When you are doing the puja, that time you are doing it, that becomes Karma Charane. You're opening a laptop, that becomes Karma Charane, and so on. So you're celebrating a festival, that becomes Karma Charane. So Gnana actually reinforces and refines the way a karma is performed. The other thing is the salvation or moksha or that state of bliss one will get only because of gnana. Only knowledge has that power to give us that absolute bliss. Nothing else can give you that kind of a happiness. So that is salvation. That is the main purpose of gnana, which is it gives you that absolutely blissful experience. And The best part is, the Gita and all the other granthas say that when somebody is doing something like this, he is doing performing his karmas, he does it even after salvation. So we would have all had this experience. We would have written an exam, but and that will be the last exam for the year. Some people come back and again start studying. Everybody else is worried, surprising. If the exam is over, why are you reading it? So he says, look, I was not reading it because of the exam. I love that subject so much that I want to read. I love the act of reading. So therefore, the gnana that we get is not just a theory. It is something which has got a direct impact on our karma, and our karma then reinforces the experiences which enriches gnana. So that's why we put a circular thing. The only thing, of course, Santosh, to remember is that this is not going around in a circle endlessly. So one may look at this diagram and say, oh my God, all my life I'll keep on going around the same circle. No, because every time somebody performs karma, he has an experience. Then from that he gets gnana, which leads to refinement. He does not perform the same karma. Now the karma is at an elevated level. Now he's gone one step ahead. Because he's at a higher level of karma charani, he's got a higher level experience. Now, every time that you take a circle, you take one step higher. So it is a graduation process, which is what one of our friends, Vishnu Jyoti, that faces the dilemma. Every day he used to face that dilemma. He's met me several times and asked that question, saying that, look, should I be pursuing my Vedic studies or performing rituals? Both are important. One can decide on the relative importance, but both are important for the spiritual progress of a person.
Right. Sundar, this is also a key takeaway for me as a person, that looking jnana to sort of make our karma much better. Like you see it as an elevation. This point of view is actually quite remarkable. Like we just think that jnana is separate and karma is separate. Like they are they're not. We don't think they mutually coexist. So they live in separate zones. But using it as as a coexisting kind of aspect, or as a theory, brings out our karma and jnana in an elevated way. Thanks for that, Sundar. Like the next question that I have is a very important and a critical slide, which is we got to know what is jnana. You defined in what is jnana, and how do we use this jnana. But the question is, like, after having all this jnana, but still we don't use it to the best possible. We make mistakes, and we again come back and complain like this is not working for me. So how do you address this?
No, absolutely. I think, Santosh, when I was reflecting on this question, which has come to us several times, and we know all these things. There's nothing we don't know. I think Bhagavad Gita is the only book which is available everywhere, including on a railway platform now. You can get it anywhere, everywhere, printed in different languages, printed in different ways, people coming up with their own interpretation, and so on and so forth. So there is nothing that people don't have access to, and people don't really appreciate. But if you look at it, I think this gap between what is the theory and what is the practice practically lies in every field, right? We all studied something in colleges. Unfortunately, a lot of that we are not able to apply, and whatever is required for application, we have not been able to study that. We have not studied that, so we need some upskilling and so on and so forth. This gap between theory and practice lies everywhere. It's not just in the spiritual world or our lives or your life or my life. It exists in everybody's life. Just forget about the long life. Just look at today. Today is a Sunday. All of us have planned a certain set of things to happen today. Even so, that's theory. Morning, somebody woke up, wrote a list of things that he wants to do, and how did the day end? It could be very different, right? So, the first thing is we have to acknowledge that there is a gap. If we do not acknowledge that there is a gap, we will never collect it and never fill the gap. The second thing is that a person has not understood the theory properly for him to be able to apply. When he tries to apply a certain concept or something that he studied yesterday or learned yesterday, as a part of our scriptural studies, he does not know how to apply because he is not understood, which is very rampant. Today, as luck would have it, or bad luck would have it, there are a lot of wrong interpretations that are being given of our scriptures. I think one very common thing which I keep seeing everywhere is that there is a list of things. It's a poster which somebody has keeps printing it and puts it all over shops and every place. There is a list of things that they say are part of Bhagavad Gita. For a long time, when I used to read it, I used to get this doubt: where is it said in Bhagavad Gita? Is there some part of Bhagavad Gita which I've just missed entirely? Because that is not mentioned as part of Bhagavad Gita anyway. Similarly, our Puranas, our scriptures, everything, the meanings are getting distorted by the day. In fact, whatever is being talked about is exactly opposite to the meaning, the the pursuit and the real purport of Bhagavad Gita is unfortunately lost in many cases. So, improper understanding is the second reason. The third one, Santosh, is the lack of faith. I think there's a beautiful story. There was once a sage who was sitting in a place where it had never rained. So there was a lot of tension around us, and people said, "Okay, now it's not rained for days together, and we should all pray to God." So then there is a sage who came. He said, "Look, I will perform a puja tomorrow. All of you should come, and then if the puja goes on well, gods will be happy, and you will get the rains." And only thing, you should come with full faith. You should have all the faith to come, and that it is going to really rain. So when you're looking at that, the early morning, everybody came and they all sat in front of him, and the sage was about to start the puja. Then he said, Do you all have complete faith that it's going to rain after this?" Everybody said, "Yes, we have the complete." He said, "Are you very sure?" "Yes." "Do you have complete faith?" They said, "Yes." And he said, "If everybody had the faith that it is going to rain after the puja, how come nobody brought an umbrella with him?" Right? So, if you look at it, that is called faith, because I think there is that lack of faith sometimes overtakes us. We heard the concept, looks good, but that faith is not there. That ability to trust God is not there. Trust God and our gurus, it goes off. So, oh no, I think people are saying this seems like a theoretical thing. In reality, it's not going to happen. That's the reason. The other one is, I think we don't spend enough time contemplating and meditating on what is going on, right? And what is happening in our world. If somebody sort of sits back and then thinks, he will come to know how whatever he learned and which he thought was just a theoretical concept is actually playing out in front of him. And there are a lot of people who write to us as a part of this workshop that something that they heard somewhere, they have actually experienced it in their life the very next week. And it's not that they didn't experience it earlier, just that they had that radar which was switched on for them to catch this much better. So as one studies more and more of our scriptures, he will get better at understanding things, and he will get even better at applying these things in these lives. So these workshops that we're conducting are not to be attended to on a Sunday afternoon, and then on Monday morning we forget everything and say, "Okay, let me look at it next month when we get an invite from Ataha Madhvacharya for the youth." That's not the idea. The idea is to empower people with those things which they can go and start applying. But application, they must do it by themselves. And if there is any challenge, we will be more than happy to actually talk about it and help them. Dr. Shweta struggles with these ethical pulls and pressures. She's a doctor, and she said, her name is changed, but she told me just 3 weeks back that she's under a lot of compulsion sometimes from the hospital that she works to prescribe tests and prescribe examinations and other things, which is actually not needed, but it's important for the commercial sustenance of the hospital. So she faces that. So over a period of time, she's been able to sort of put to rest these ethical pulls and pressures, and she's moving on with her profession because it was really affecting her. It was really affecting her, the manner in which she was actually looking at these ethical dilemmas. Once you study the scriptures, you're able to put all this in a larger perspective, and it might mean taking very difficult decision which Dr. Shweta had to take. But today she's going to our office, going to our hospital without any guilt and giving it our 100%, not getting held back by these dilemmas anymore.
Sundar, this slide actually gives me one actionable point, which is to put take time and put this knowledge into practice. And I mean, it would we would all would be standing in the same position like for eternity if we don't like really put this knowledge into practice. It's so important for us to uh, reduce the gap and start putting into practice. Uh, Right. So that like I would come back to the another slide where we we were talking about this grand design and how actually karma yoga actually leads us to moksha.
Yes.
Can you just like touch upon this slide briefly?
Sure. So we have covered it earlier in the workshop, Santosh. So I wouldn't like to spend too much time here. But what this essentially says is there is a basic or niyata karma that we have to perform. There is basic knowledge that we have to acquire through Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana. That means by listening and reading. By Manana is by contemplation, and Nididhyasana is to internalize it. So there are three steps that we have to keep doing it. So that gets us ready. By doing this, our mind gets purified. That's Antaranga Shuddhi. From there, we get some Samanya Gnana. That means common, simple to understand concepts in spirituality. We get that. From there, of course, we graduate into what's called Aparoksha Gnana, which is actually seeing the reflection of God in your heart. From there, we get Bhagavad Prasada. That means the actual blessings of the God, saying with Aparoksha Gnana, this person is ready to attain that eternal bliss or moksha. All this is happening with the grace of God and our karma charana. It doesn't stop. Karma charana doesn't stop in this process. Karma charana has to be done at all times, and even during the moksha period, it is something which people perform. The karmas are performed there even at that stage. Now, why one can look at this and say, "Oh my God, you are talking about some moksha, bliss, etc." I don't know whether I will get it or not. As it is, you say it's difficult. So, should I strive for it or not? So, the point is whether everybody attains moksha or not is another point. One cannot say it. But one thing is for sure that each step that we take takes us one step closer to that happiness, right? So, I keep giving this example. Somebody is going from Delhi, peak summer, it is 48 degrees, and they say, okay, I need a vacation on the weekend, let me go towards Shimla. So Shimla is what? 19 degrees. My God, 30 degrees. So each kilometer that he drives towards Shimla, he starts feeling cooler and cooler. Yes, all those from Bangalore will experience when they go to Kurg, right? Each kilometer that you go after Mysore, you will start feeling that you are approaching a place which is cooler, right? Similarly, if you're approaching a beach, you'll realize the saline atmosphere keeps on changing, right? You can experience it almost from 100 kilometers, right? Now, why does this happen? Why do we feel like this? That is, if there's a river, irrespective of the temperature and the weather, you start feeling cool because the water cools the environment around you, right? So if you look at it, every step that we take is taking us closer to happiness at that level. We may not experience moksha immediately, but we are better off, significantly better off than what we were yesterday. Yeah,
Right.
somebody has got a big pain in the knee. The doctor has told him, that you have to go undergo physiotherapy for 100 days. On first day, doesn't he feel better than day zero? On day two, he feels better than day one. On day 20, he feels better than he was earlier. And within no time, he realizes he's actually got rid of of that pain. But each step is itself an enjoyment. Reading the whole Bhagavad Gita in one day is not possible. But reading every shloka increases our quotient. And that itself, the journey itself is interesting. We talked about Kurg. Imagine somebody says, let's go in a helicopter. What will you tell him? He said, wait, we'll drive down. Because the journey itself is so interesting. So why will you not have that bliss of going in a journey? That spiritual journey every day will take us one step forward. So you should enjoy the journey as much as the destination. Reaching the destination or not, you've seen Bhagavad Prasada. That is left to God. That's not in our hands. He is the one who is going to decide the eligibility. But taking one step towards him, definitely we should.
Right. Sundar, this is the thing of getting closer, taking the journey is something that we all need to focus than just than the goal. I've been hearing a lot of motivational speakers say the same thing: take the journey, forget the goal. I mean, both are important, but journey is quite critical. Then moving on, so that the next the concept on the slide that we're touching upon is while we know the what is the jnana and what's the goal, and sometimes I hear this that even if you don't have jnana, but just having bhakti can actually lead you to God or the salvation. Uh, how correct it is, and uh,
Yeah. So there is that thinking which comes that ultimately one gets that moksha or bliss, uh, which is only through bhakti. And that is absolutely right. Amala bhaktischa tat sadhanam. So there were 9 tenets that were given by Madhvacharya's philosophy, and Sri Vyasaraja has beautifully, sort of encapsulated all those 9 tenets. We have conducted several workshops on that topic. You can go and check it out in Madhvacharya for the Youth YouTube channel, as well as it was also delivered in Boston. It was also delivered in Chicago, and it was also delivered in Sydney, as if I remember correctly. So all these Raghavendra Swamiji mutts have their own YouTube channel, and you can check it out. We had given very detailed explanation of this. So when you look at it, it is uh, bhakti. Only bhakti can lead to but to moksha. There is no doubt. But there is a catch here. So can one reach God without gnana? Answer is no, because this is unequivocally answered in Bhagavad Gita, right? So it says that there may be many people who are around me. That's what Lord Krishna is saying. There may be many people who are around me, but only those people who have gnana about me, who yathartha gnana or the accurate knowledge about me, only they are, you know I love them a lot. They are the dearest to me, right? So it is very rare to find people who are reaching that level where God truly loves them. So that, can one reach God without gnana? The answer is no. Why? Can he reach through bhakti? Yes. Then why do we need gnana? Because the definition of bhakti itself has got gnana in it, right? So you look at milk. If it is not white, it's not milk. So if you say, where did that whiteness come? Whiteness is an integral part of milk, right? It is not a separate thing. It was not green in color. Somebody added something and made it white. No, its very existence is in white color. Similarly, bhakti definition, which is given in Mahabharata Tatparvena by Sri Madhvacharya, says Mahatmya Gnana Purvastu Sudradaha Sarvatodhikaha Sneha iti Bhaktiriti Proktaha Tata Muktir Nachanyatha, which is, he says that the definition of bhakti is that you have to understand the Mahatmya Gnana. Without knowing the greatness of God, you will not get that Sudradaha. Sarvatodika. Sudrada means strong. That love for God, which comes because of Mahatmya Gnana, is Sudrada, because he has come through Gnana. See, look at a student. Some student is going, studying in LKG. You say 1 plus 1 is what? They'll say 2. 2 plus 3 is what? 5. Now somebody else comes, hey, it's not 5, it's 4. The child immediately changes. Okay, 2 plus 3 is equal to 4, right? Because the child does not know. But imagine you try the same stunt after 3 years when the child is in second standard. You can keep trying. The child says, no, I know 2 plus 3 is 5, right? So therefore, Gnana makes our knowledge stronger. Our conviction about God has to get stronger. It has to be sarvotodika, greater than the greatest. Because Sneha is there with a lot of other people. We love our parents, we love our spouses, we love our children, we love so many people, our colleagues, and so on and so forth, right? All of that is love. But the love that we feel for God, and which is coming because of understanding his Mahatma Jnana, is something which is Sudradaha Sarvatodika. It has to be greater than the greatest love that we have. That is why, if you don't have that Mahatma Jnana, how will you get that conviction? So today you are on a path. Okay, today you heard a great lecture and you say, yes, I'm convinced this is what we should do. Within 10 minutes, that motivation will start coming down. But if you know why you are supposed to do what you're doing, then you say, yes, I know what I'm doing. And then, irrespective of all the distractions in the world, you are going full steam because you know that that's the right thing to do. On the day of your examination, imagine somebody comes and, what, I'll tell you something, you should not go to the exam. Let's go, there's a lovely movie which has got released, let's go watch it. What will you tell him? Nothing doing, I'm going here, because you have the conviction that whatever you're doing is right, because you've got that Jnana now. So therefore, uh, knowing something and understanding it and internalizing it strengthen that bhakti. So, there's a lady who's she's an IT engineer, Sulochana, who's struggling with her spiritual studies because she says that, look, I can't study, I can't understand scriptures. So what should I do? How do I get that right Gnana? So at in our workshop, we have discussed many times about how one should go about the pursuit of getting that Gnana. In fact, the entire workshop has been conducted on how to study the Madhva Shastra, and Santosh, keep me honest here. I think we're repeating that as well in one of the subsequent sessions because it is clearly a very popular topic, and we'll talk more about it. But Sulochana called us several times to find out how she can pursue this Jnana, and we shared whatever we knew. And under the great masters, many gurus, she has actually started studies of her scriptures because now she has realized that achieving God, understanding God, etc., cannot happen. Our upliftment cannot happen without knowledge. Anybody on this session, can you tell me one instance where somebody in any field, somebody or some institution or some country has actually become great without being knowledgeable? Absolutely impossible. Even sports, the person who wins is a person who has got gnana, who's got greater gnana in that sport than anybody else. That is why he's winning the winning the sports. And like in the sports, there's no sportsman who has ever come up without a great coach. So therefore, how do you get the right gnana is through a guru, an ordained guru who will take you on that path and keep you on track, right? So the simple answer, can one reach God without jnana? No. Jnana villade moksha villa. Vijayadasara says it in very simple words, as straight as it is possible.
Right. It's so evident, Sundar, in all these slides that it's a process that knowledge through. I mean, it's the final process of getting knowledge is through Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana, to which karma is also applied, and finally having that Bhagavad Prasada. So I think that that diagram actually clearly, I think we can have the diagram posted and keep looking at it, and it gives a very clear, pictorially, uh, it's a clear. You don't require too many,
Yeah. It
no,
is actually, it is just taken out directly from the Gita. The flow of the Gita, and which is super well explained by Sriman Madhvacharya and Sri Padmanabha Tirtha, Sri Narahari Tirtha, Sri Jai Tirtha, Sri Sumatindra Tirtha. This flow becomes very clear. So I thought we should just represent it in that form of a flow chart. So it just is a reflection of what's said in the Gitas.
right. Moving on, so we'll be moving ahead to the Q&A session. So I would request all the viewers to post in your questions. We'll be picking up those questions and answering them. We'll have next 10 minutes open for Q&A. First question that we have, Sundar, here is by Sanjay Kumar. He's saying we might have done bad karma due to which we might be suffering now. How do we get rid of it? Is there any situation to repair the bad karma? which we did in the earlier lives.
Yes. So whatever we have created in our earlier lives, and sort of it has got accumulated. It is called Sanchita Karma, which is that it has just got accumulated over several births, and that is what sometimes explains why we go through so much of suffering. So whatever Sanjay is asking is a very relevant question, and I think Mr. Radha Krishna, he's answered that by saying that doing Ekadashi, Chaturmasa Vrata, and Hari's Namasmarane, hearing of Pravachana of Purana Bhagavata, etc. By this we can get rid of her. I think the answer has already come there. Performing of the right karma from the time that you realize, this is very important in our lives. You know, unfortunately or fortunately, we take a long time to get this realization, right? When someone is young, you tell a 20-year-old person certain things, he'll say, no, I don't understand all this. Or at 25, you tell him, he say, I know whatever you're saying is right, but I'm too young to follow spirituality. So then he becomes 30, 35, 40. Then suddenly, the same person, you ask him, see, you said that time you were very young. Now, why are you not learning? They'll say, no, I'm very old. Either people are too young or people are too old. I think we are just making excuses to ourselves. We are not understanding the gravity of the situation, right? The gravity of the situation is simple. And this is said beautifully in the Bhagavata, where you say that when somebody dies, what happens is the soul can see everything. The body is gone, but the soul is there. It can see what is wrong. It is going through immense suffering because the soul did not perform what that person should have done. But there's nothing the soul can do because the body, which is our outer covering, is gone. So, how will it perform any karmas? How will it study something? The soul cannot get that. So, whatever it has already got, that is stored. But what about the other suffering that it is going through? That time, the soul sits and regrets that, oh my God, what did I do? Imagine all of us today are so fortunate to be born in an era where all this content about our scriptures is available on so many channels, in so many languages, in so many ways, all at the comfort of sitting at our home. We don't have to go anywhere. You want to have darshan of Kashi Vishwanath? Sit here and you can see it, right? You want access to any book? Amazon, right? Go to the nearest bookshop. You'll get any book you want. There are thousands and lakhs of online resources, maybe crores, I don't know, which can help you in this environment, which is so convenient for us. And if we don't do things now, we all have to seriously think when else will we do it. So let us not wait till eternity. Let's start now. Let's start today. And that's the best thing about God. He's so kind that from the time that we decide that we are going to, we are going to perform our karmas, we're going to take one step towards Him, He takes 100 steps towards us, right? Vishnu karmena nishphala, Madhacharya says. Prarambha matra ichhava Vishnu karmena nishphala. That means you just have to start. Every step that you do, even if you don't achieve, it's okay. Today you started to decide, okay, I'm going to do Sandhya Vandana. Okay, something happened, you could not do 100 Gayatri. 10 you did, but that's an improvement. So God gives you 100 out of 100 for 10. He doesn't give you 10 out of 100. He still gives you 100 out of 100 because He is Karanalu. He is very way. He loves us. So just like a parent loves us, God loves us, and God loves us much much more than what a parent can love, because parents also have their own limitations, but God does not have any limitations. So that is the answer. I think thanks to Mr. Radhakrishna, he's answered Sanjay's question.
Right. The next question, Sundar, is also is saying Rohit is congratulated for the session that we've conducted now. His question is: there are days where I feel the presence of God in some strong sense, and some other day it's missing. Why does it happen?
No, I think Rohit is not alone in this journey. It happens to all of us. Why does this happen? It is because of not having the full knowledge and the full experience. So in that journey, We are probably in yet to reach that stage when we feel and see and feel the presence of God everywhere, right? It is just about realizing that, because God is not someone who comes and who goes away, right? It happens to us, right? When there is a lot of wind blowing, you'll say, you say, my God, it's very windy today. There are days in which the air sounds absolutely still. He says, is there no air here? All of us know that there is air, but yet we say that because we are not able to experience that. What's the difference between the two situations? In the case of a hot day where there's no movement of the wind, we are not experiencing it. So therefore, I think it is but natural that we don't have those experiences sometimes. It just goes to show that our sadhana has to improve, and over a period of time, definitely we will reach that stage when we can feel the experience and experience God everywhere, in everyone, in His full might. We are on that journey, so no regrets, Rohit, on where we are, on where you are. That's absolutely fine.
Thanks, Rohit, for asking that question. Uh, I would request again all the viewers to start putting this, start commenting your questions. The more the questions that we get, the more excited we get to answer them. Uh, Even after the sessions, the comment section is still open. Like if you still have any questions regarding Jnana, Karma Yoga, or any of the series that we have done till now, please feel free to sort of post it. We'd be happy to answer them. Moving
Yeah,
on.
Santosh, I'm sorry. There's one lovely question Rohit has asked. Is there a way to always feel His grace? That is God's grace. I think if somebody is asking this question, that itself is happening because of His grace, right? We think, oh, what is there? I'm sitting. I'm Rohit. I'm typing the question. What did God do in this? The fact is, for that to know, you just have to visit a hospital where every the person has his hands, they have their legs, but they're paralyzed and they're lying in a state of coma. Go to an ICU, we'll see that, right? So if he's not if God weren't there to actually energize him, despite having those limbs, he is not able to move, right? So everything that happens, and Gita says it very clearly, everything that happens, the ability to breathe, the ability to move, the ability to be, ability to sit, ability to eat. Everybody who eats cannot digest his food. We have taken those things for granted, right? Everybody who eats cannot digest the food. There are people who are put on liquid diet because they can't, digest solid food. Imagine who was doing it all the days. That's why God is called Anna, Annada, Annada. He is Anna. He is food. He is Annada. That means He is given us the food. Did we produce the rice? Did we produce a single item around us? We have not done it. We have only changed its shape. This is a pen. We made somebody made this pen, but who made the steel? Who made the iron? It was found in nature. That we have transformed, and we have used it. So just the fact, I think, how do you feel His grace? We don't need anything more. You just have to question that, could whatever I have done, could it have happened all by myself?
Thanks, Sundar, for that elaborate answer. Moving on, another question by Sanjay. He says, "Why do we forget God and blame Him when something bad happens to us?"
Yeah, I think in that question itself there's a bit of a contradiction. If we have forgotten God, we how can we even we remember Him only to blame Him, right? So why do we forget God? Is it simple? We forget so many things in our lives. Why do we forget God is because we have not given Him the centrality in our life. That's why we forget God, right? So let us say you're driving a car. Your only focus is on the road. Can you lose your focus on the road? And we all know what happens when you lose the focus on the God. Our life today is not God centered. We have made it self centered. That is why we are not able to see the most important thing. Look at what happened in the Bhagavad Gita. Look at what Duryodhana said. Duryodhana counted all the people who are fighting the war from the Pandavas side in the first chapter. He enumerates all the people who are fighting the war on the Kaurava side. You know whom he has missed? He does not count Krishna in that war, in that list. Krishna is right in front of him, but he misses it. That's what is happening to us. We are missing the most important aspect of our life, which is the God who is making everything happen around us. Right? You have planned a big event. What's the most important thing you'll say? Please ensure there is power supply. Can you do without the power supply? Because everything else can somehow be managed. But this cannot be managed. So why do we forget? We forget God because it is not central to our life. Once you try and let's say go to a mother who's got a young child. How does she take care of the child? Does she take her eyes off even for 1 minute? Forget 1 minute, not even for a few seconds, right? She sleeps only when the child sleeps, and she wakes up before the child wakes up. Why? Because her entire focus is on that. You remember your 10th standard examination? Did you remember that that day there was a match, there was a Wimbledon match going on? Somebody were to come and say, today there is Wimbledon match. He said, go to hell. It's my examination day. Because our entire focus is not on God, that we forget Him so easily. We remember Him only when we are to blame, because we don't want to take accountability and we don't understand certain phenomena. We are saying that we think see, I failed, only I fail. Everybody else succeeds in life. That's not the case. God is called Samaha. Samaha means He gives everybody fruits according to their karma. He is not partial to anybody. Krishna was not partial towards Pandavas. It is Pandavas who earned his grace, and Kauravas managed to alienate him. That is why it looks like he was in favor of Pandavas, because he is right. How do you see? How do you feel if somebody blames the police of saying, "Oh my God, look, you are beating up all the thieves, and you're not doing anything to the person who lodged a complaint." That's what he's supposed to do. So God is never partial. So whatever bad happens, it happens because of our own karma. And God has been kind. That is why we have not suffered so much. So if you take refuge in God, that the suffering will come down.
Thanks, Sundar. So moving on. So this is how the workshop schedule has been laid out. Like we've covered so many topics in last few months. So the next topic that has been scheduled is on 20th November on Bhakti Yoga. So I request please block your calendars. And these are some of the topics which we have covered in the past. These are quite interesting. A lot of insights in the sessions, which is marked in green. I request all the viewers to go back and check out our channel, which is Madhvacharya for the Youth YouTube channel, to access these sessions. So the next session, which is on November 20th, which is on Bhakti Yoga. And this is all the sessions which which we have thought for the next upcoming year. Like I would pause here, give a couple of seconds. You can screen grab this particular slide and uh, uh, and just like make a note. And so, I mean, as Sundar was mentioning, like we'll talking about learning the Madhva philosophy in the month of March. Right, we're planning out one whole session on how to sort of learn the Madhva philosophy. What are the elementary books that we need to study in the hierarchy? Right. So there's a new announcement on the new videos that we have released in the last few months. Like there are a couple of videos, one on Jayatirtharu and one on Raghavendra Swami, which was published during their Aradhana Mahotsava. These are quite like about 3 to 10 minute kind of a video. So easy to consumption kind of a video where gives you an amazing insights into these yatis. I would request To go back again to the channel, check out these couple of videos. Yeah, coming back to the next workshop, which is on 20th November, which is on Bhakti. Right here, I just want to pause here and wish all the viewers a happy and safe Deepavali, which is on 24th to 26th. And what better way to celebrate Diwali or Deepavali, having gone through so many sessions uh, like on Karma Yoga and Karma Yoga and Jnana Yoga. I really request all the viewers to sit back, collect these some of the insights, and then celebrate a meaningful upcoming Deepavali. Right. Any thoughts, Sundar, like you want to add here?
Yeah. So first of all, wishing everybody who's on this session and their families and everybody a very Shubha Deepavali. It is a festival of lights, as we know, but lights are symbolic of Jnana. So we light a lamp in front of God with the only prayer that is you give me Jnana, right? So Jnana is the most precious thing that you can seek from God, right? When Gajendra was caught by the crocodile, what did he say? Narayana Akhila Guru Bhagavan Namaste. He calls him Akhila Guru, and that is when Lord actually appears. Because we may know Lord in many ways. And he's a man of lot of the attributes, all of infinite quality and infinite quantity. But when you ask him for gnana, then he looks at you and says, "Okay, is this person really, capable, and is he deserving?" And once he does that, he gives you knowledge like never before. So let us use this Shubha with Deepavali to actually remove the darkness, and darkness in our mind, darkness that we find because we do not have the gnana. So there's only one solution to darkness, which is lighting a lamp. A small lamp lit in one corner of a large room is enough to dispel darkness to that extent. The more the number of lamps, the brighter it will get. So therefore, there are many ways to celebrate Deepavali. I think visiting people, distributing sweets, visiting, taking the blessings of our elders, having a party, all are very great ways of celebrating Deepavali. But this Deepavali, let us do it with a dedication to God, and say that, look, I will use the next 1 year to acquire the best knowledge that is there and dispel that darkness in our mind. There are so many undeserved, so many deserving people who are underprivileged, who do not have access to knowledge, access to basic books and other amenities to go to a school. So my request is, on this occasion, while we spend a lot of money on a lot of other things, let us also make a small contribution to making their life better by educating them and helping them in the education. So donate some money for scholarship. There are lovely organizations like the Purna Pragna Vidyapita, which is doing an excellent job getting our next, powerhouse ready, which is the next set of scholars who will help us for generations to come in illuminating this beautiful light of the Bhagavad Gita and allied scriptures. So let's all dedicate those 3 days and beyond towards acquiring knowledge and ensuring that knowledge all around us keeps on growing. So Shubha Deepavali to all of you, and to you, Santosh.
Thanks
Thanks
so
for
much.
having me here. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.
So there are some questions I think that are very interesting. Please do send us a mail as a follow-up, and we will be happy to answer it. Sanjay, you're asking how can we download the slides? Please do write to us. We will be happy to share the slides with all those people who are interested. We are putting together a website. Our volunteers are working overnight, all night, to make this happen as soon as we can. We'll come back to you with a release date very shortly. Once that is ready, all these resources for all the past workshops will be available. But for now, please write to us, and we'll be happy to share these presentations. Thank you so much.
Right. Thank you, Sundar. Thanks for your time. And I
Thank
especially want to congratulate all the viewers who are participating in this session. And special thanks to the MFI volunteers as well for bringing this content to all the viewers. So with this, thank you all the viewers for joining in. For the next session, let's join in on November 20th, where we'll be discussing on Bhakti Yoga. Until then, thank you so much. Thank you so much.